Hey there YouTube, Gorthar Gaming here again. I've got a really quick battle here that I was going to show you. I ended up playing as Epirus, and my opponent picked Rome. Um, there's some of these Greek faction, I really like playing the campaigns with them, but I feel like in the online multiplayer they're a little bit inflexible at times. I mean, they've got these Royal Peltis, which are quite good, but they're really expensive, and against a lot of other elite infantry, they're not going to be able to cut it. And so you end up with a lot of spears and hoplites, which have good holding, but in the end, if you don't have anything with killing power, it can be really difficult. And for Epirus here, they've got access to a lot of skirmishers. I really think these Rhodian slingers are probably the best skirmishers in the game. I mean, slingers are very good. They've got a lot of ammo. They've got, you know, obviously they've got the long range. They've got a high rate of fire, and with these Rhodian slingers, they've got some pretty good armor, so they can exchange fire with somebody else's skirmishers and still hold their ground. But anyway, I'll jump into the battle, and you can see how this ends up going for me. I was trying to come up with an Epirus build to work for an online battle before I jumped into the game, so I'd already decided I was going to try this faction. I was kind of worried about what my opponent would pick. He ended up picking Rome, which I felt confident about, but I was worried about how his infantry would stack up against mine. But obviously, I just need my infantry to hold long enough for me to get my elephants in place. When I jumped into the map and saw this map, I was really worried that my opponent was going to hill camp. I've seen a map with a similar feature to this little table here, and I saw a guy, and there's some impassable parts on it. I saw a guy just pike and hoplite box the whole hill and then stack his skirmishers on top. Thankfully, my opponent did not do any such thing. He kind of lines up out here in the open, so I'm just kind of marching my guys along here, and I'll go over my army build. I've got a Thessalian cav and a citizen cav on either flank. Got 2 Rhodian slingers, the mercenary Indian war elephants. I've got 3 mercenary Samnite warriors and 3 Italian swordsmen with upgrades to just make them a little bit stronger. And then I've got a Royal Peltist on either flank to kind of bolster the morale and support. And I got this Illyrian levy. It is a cheap crap unit, but they do have axes, which gives them some armor piercing. So if you can get them into the flank, they're not bad. My idea was I was going to use them to support my cavalry or either to protect my slingers, because I'm expecting he's going to have something to take out my elephants, so I need to be able to suppress his skirmishers. My opponent has legionary cohort mainline. 1, 2, let me miscount. Yeah, he's got 6 legionary cohorts in the front line. He's got an auxiliary infantry and 2 legionary cohort that he's holding in reserve. He's got 2 Balearic slingers and a Syrian auxiliary archer. And then I believe he has 4 auxiliary cav. Again, I was trying to figure out what to do here. His cav are definitely better than mine, but I feel like if I can hold them off long enough, I'll be able to do alright. I see him move his archers over here, so I'm going to go ahead and move my slingers and try to take out his archers so I can keep my elephants safe. And my idea right now is I'm just going to charge in with my infantry, engage him, and hope that they hold out long enough for my elephants to do their work. My opponent abandoned this high ground here. He had kept his cav in reserve. This is where, my opponent made several mistakes which helped me out. He should have kept his cav up here, if for no other reason than to force me, if I charged in, to force my cav to charge uphill. So I end up, even though his cav are better than mine, I get a good downhill charge. And now my infantry is just engaging his. Again, I'm going to win the charge over here as well. It's an uphill charge, but his guys just get caught standing. And now I'm going to push my Royal Peltis General and Illyrian levies right into this gap and force his Syrian archers back. And his Syrian archers are taking a lot of flank fire. So now it's at this point I feel confident I can push my elephants through. And my opponent made another mistake here. His 2 infantry that he left in reserve, he just stacks in here, and while that adds a big mass here, it doesn't really do anything. Again, his archers are gone, so to kind of help out my cav a little bit, I send my elephants over here, and then I'm just going to send them in, and then my plan is to just keep hooking in, go up and down the line, and these big blobs that he set up here are really going to work in my favor. Yeah, you can see some of my infantry is really... Sam Knight Warriors are doing alright, but the Italian swordsmen are getting beat down, so I really needed to get these elephants in here. And now that I've kind of wrecked his infantry and held him up, he really doesn't have anything. Battle really starts to turn in my favor, and he gets a real waiver here. I mean, you can see my elephant's already over 300 kills and rising. I mean, when you've got these dense infantry formations like this is what you need your elephants to just keep hooking in here. These units finally break, so I'm going to start wrapping up here. And my opponent, his cavalry is just, again, it's just bogged down. He finally starts to pull through here and pull away. But at this point, it's really too late. I've got a lot of his infantry wrapped up. I've still got my slingers. You can see, yeah, my cav has been wrecked. But they held their own. They did what I needed them to do. See, he's got a lot of his cav left. All my cav on this flank has been gone, but I've still kept him bogged down with my general and these levies. And again, Rhodian slingers doing their work, keeping his guys from getting behind me, and elephants just gonna clean it up for me. And at that point, he's got too many losses. He still had plenty of cav left, but no infantry, and that ended up being the game. I was actually surprised that it went that quick. Like I said, there were several mistakes that my opponent made that kind of allowed me to pull that one out. I'm not saying that to be mean, just kind of pointing out some mistakes that a lot of people make. I don't know, I'm not sure if I've uploaded it yet, but there's another battle where I played as Rome, where my opponent had picked the Seleucids and had a elephant, and he charged in his elephants too early, and they immediately run amok and ended up damaging his infantry as much as mine. And by the time they were just running amok the whole time until they all died, so he was never able to use them. But you can see elephants are still very powerful. You just have to use them carefully. And that's really what this army I needed it to do, was I just needed my infantry to hold. And you can see my Italian swordsmen, doing alright, but they were getting cut down by his legionary cohort. My Samnite warriors did very well. My Royal Peltis did okay for being as expensive as they were, but I really just needed them for their morale to keep my guys from routing until my war elephants could come in. I probably should have gone with 4 citizen cav and gotten either another Illyrian levy or something else. These Thessalian cav are too expensive to get that crappy of kills, especially since I really only needed them to hold his cavalry long enough for my elephants to go to work. And one of the things for Rome, I'll get into this real quick, that you have to be careful of if you think somebody's going to bring elephants. He had those 2 legionaries in reserve, or legionaries or legionary cohort, I can't remember now, but that's more than enough, and they're precursor javelins. He could have easily got mine to run amok. And he had his auxiliary archers, but he pulled them too far forward so that they came under fire from mine, and then I had that gap that he put them into so that my Royal Peltasts he strayed too far forward and ended up getting it shredded. And then he had his Balearic Slingers, but his Balearic Slingers just never really did anything. And it's going to take a couple of volleys from from slingers in general in order to take down or elephants, but it can be done. I mean, really what you need to do is, especially a spear unit, you know, if he had had a Triarii, they're very strong. That would have easily got mine bogged down, my elephants bogged down, long enough for the archers, or even if he had a couple of velites in there, to really take him down. So that, I mean, that's really what you need to do, is get those javelins, and then once the elephants get stuck somewhere in a dense infantry formation, they'll just drop. But anyway, that's all I have for now. Thank you for watching. As usual with YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'll see you later.